We'll begin by painting our greens in now. Be sure to have a few swatches of paper. It should be identical to the paper you're painting on so that your colors are true, so that you can test your colors throughout the painting. There's also a mode of dropping paint in by using a mister. I wouldn't recommend just a normal spray bottle. This one happens to be what is called a mini mister. It's just a tiny little mister that shoots out a very fine spray. There are larger ones that are just misting spray bottles that you can use. I'm going to demonstrate it on this particular part, but we do need to cover up what we don't want the paint to go on, like the stems, particularly the flowers. So let's cover those up. And I'm just going to do a light mist just to show you that this is a pretty effective way to drop paint in. And this is also the flower. I want to make sure that's covered as well. Okay, so we just do a light mist. You can test it on a piece of paper first, just like so. And then we can drop whatever color paint we're going to use. I'm just going to drop a little sap green in. I want to test to see how strong it is. That's about right. We're going to follow the photo a little bit. So we're just going to drop it in where we've sprayed. I'm going to give it another spray that's not quite wet enough. There we go. It leaves little dots of color that the paint will run into. It makes for a very, very interesting background. We can take these away now. Obviously, you can just go ahead and paint it in as well. It's a technique I use when I want the paint just to spread in a manner that isn't controlled. Something along these lines, so that it gives a very irregular appearance. You can use your hand to cover portions of the painting up, but because I don't want to contaminate these flowers with any other type of paint, I just wanted to be a little bit careful that it didn't get on some of the petals. But it's a nice technique to use. I'll drop in, I have a number of paints here that I've mixed up that are in various shades. You can use whatever you have. This is not the type of class where I say, oh, you have to go out and buy the Daniel Smith such and such. Everyone has almost all the paints that they need. Unless you're an absolute beginner, then you'll probably need to pick up a few. But don't spend a lot of money on paint when you can mix your own. We're just going to drop this in. And I'm going to make it a little bit darker. I want to define these edges quite well. I'm not really looking to go over some of this. It would be okay for the stems, but let's try to be a little accurate here. I'm going to go in with a little bit of yellow that I have mixed with any type of aqua paint is fine, actually, just to vary the color a bit. Again, what goes in on one side, the color has to come out the other side. So let's just drop this this kind of yellow turquoise mixture in over here. We can also go and add some yellow to it to kind of vary the color. And that's a very good technique, is to use the color that's under the wash to make your background more interesting. Pick a mother color. Usually a mother color is something that's used throughout a painting. And in this case, it will be the cadmium yellow because we're using this throughout. I just want to add a little bit of interest here with dark areas, and you can see what I've done. I've gone ahead and I've gotten a little bit of that spray on this flower petal. It's nothing to be too alarmed at, but it's something to be cognizant of when you're going along. Dropping a little yellow in here first before I put in the sap green. It's a little dark. Add a little water to it, lighten it up. Just remember, if you paint on either side of a stem or a pole or whatever you're painting, that the person looking at your painting, if it's not cohesive and it's not the same as it's on both sides, they'll know something is wrong with it, but they may not know what, but they will know something is wrong with the painting. Another thing is, if you're using a 2-point perspective and your lines are off, they'll know something's wrong, but they may not necessarily know what it is. So just something to be aware of. I'm going to use a technique that I often use here. That's to put water here and water here. You'll have a much better result if you put water by the paint and then draw the paint into it and then join them. If you do this, you don't get quite as good a result. So let's go over here. So we've got a good start here. And I'm just going to continue to paint. I will speed this video up because it is like watching paint dry. So I'll speed the video up from here on out, and we'll continue to paint this section. It's basically the same technique as we go through this painting. There's really there's nothing different about it. We're just going to drop some paint in. I'm going to wet the background. I'm going to use the mother color, which is cad yellow. I'm going to drop different shades of green in. I don't want too many, maybe three. 3 would be enough. We don't want it to get crazy. Blue, a bluish green adds an awful lot of interest. So particularly if you're doing a landscape scene, it will differentiate your greens. I know you've all seen paintings with kind of one-note sap green trees without a lot of interest in it, and this is always what we want to avoid. So